Just like that, bada bing, bada bing, here we are on Christmas Eve for a very special Triple T, number 156. You guys are awesome.
You are awesome.
And this is going to be a short one. We're going to respect family time and all the above. So, welcome to Triple T. My name is TJ Zebel. I call myself a professional problem solver, which I always follow up with, no, I don't know everything. I just have a unique way of asking lots of questions, helping people get down to the answers and the solutions they are looking for. What a year so far, huh? And here we are. A little shout out to anybody that may be out on YouTube, especially my mom. Hi, Mom. Love you. And a very Merry Christmas Eve to everybody out there. Let's see. What do we got? We got, if you are on YouTube or watching the recording, please do me a favor with all the YouTube stuff. Ring the bell, click subscribe. Click the like. Man, I'm feeling kind of 52 views, one like. I'm like,
We love you.
I know you do. You're my man. Now everybody out there is going, huh? Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Also, got a new website up. So please, if you've been to the website lately, check it again. We've done some changes, some upgrades. See if you can find any typos or issues. Let me know. I'd like to know if it's loading properly on all the platforms. And on there, you'll notice that I do offer a free 30-minute consultation. That is your opportunity to spend 30 minutes with me to bend my ear and see if we are a fit. If we are, I will let you know. If we are not, I promise you I will let you know and do my best to help you find the right person to get you the solutions that you are looking for. I get the privilege of helping people with all sorts of interesting stuff. I've done a lot of different things in my life, not because I wanted to do a lot of different things in my life. It just happened that way. I did a lot of traveling and I always tell people I had this really weird addiction to sleeping indoors and eating. So yeah, if people were hiring, I was working. And it taught me a lot of different things. I've been blessed with some amazing mentors. And so I have a way of helping people out with all sorts of things, depression, anxiety, phobias, PTSD. I've been getting some really cool feedback on some of my relationship protocol clients and all sorts of stuff. Michael, you got your hand up?
I do. Just for the viewers out there, if you don't mind telling the website, I just looked at it and it looks beautiful. So just saying.
It's what happens when you know the right people, they say.
Yes. So just for everybody's edification, it's the tswb.com.
Thank you for that. That's why I love having support people around me. Sometimes I need a little support. Just like Grandma. Yes. I'm glad you read my mind. You're a bad man in all the right ways.
Yes.
For those of you that are new to Triple T, it's time to introduce the tie of the week. Yes, this entire year I have worn a different tie every week, and I still have a few to go. So tonight is a twofer. And no, I'm not going to change ties, but the tie I'm wearing, about as classic Christmas festive as you can get. And the tie that won honorable mention for the night, Ski and Santa. And I left the price tag on it on purpose.
The $45? $745.
That's a whopping 50 centavos.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's an amazing deal.
I shop the high end stores sometimes. If you're new to Triple T, the way that we usually run it, tonight's going to be a little different, but usually the way we run it, the first hour, I usually run 2 hours. The first hour, I have three topics that I do my best to get through. And then typically the second hour, we switch over and it's open mic, open platform. Anybody can ask a question, anybody can bring up a topic. Tonight, out of respect for it being Christmas Eve, I'm going to get through the topics as quickly as possible, and I'm going to let you guys go early so we can get all of the cookies and milk set up for Santa and get to bed like good boys and girls, like we were taught back in the day, so Dad can come down and eat so Santa can show up and eat the cookies and drink the milk or something like that. I think that's how it went, right, Mom? But before we get there, one thing I also like to do you guys have anything you'd like to share from the last 7 days since we saw each other last? Mark?
Yeah, I had a couple of milliseconds of brilliance. One couple I borrowed from other people, but thinking about sickness and diagnosis, and again, but someone once said a diagnosis is a definition. Definition is not a disease. Think about that a few times, but
Yep.
actually, and then I learned another oxytocin releaser. I'm not quite sure on the hierarchy where I'm going to put it, but if you kiss your partner for 10 seconds, 5 seconds into the kiss, there's a massive release of oxytocin.
Sweet.
And goes with that. And then I was talking to a client today, and we were talking about OCD. And you have OCD personality disorder, you have OCD anxiety disorder. And I realized both of them are ways that a person release, that pleasure chemical, whether it be serotonin or whatever. But both are strategies, because we're all addicts to our brain chemicals. And if you don't complete the routine, it generates anxiety. You kind of got what you wanted out of the situation. You haven't completed the whatever it was that was, and that will generate anxiety. But I think that's a side effect. The goal is to release the brain chemical. And with personality disorder, you go on to if you can't complete one ritual, you just go on to the next one. And
Yep.
again, and eventually you find one that will give you the release that you're looking for. So both of them are strategies to release, some kind of a brain chemical. And I always say that we're all addicts to our brain chemicals: serotonin, epinephrine, adrenaline, and oxytocin. OCD seems to be a way to get a release of that stuff.
And I always joke that I'm not OCD, I'm CDO, because that's alphabetical, the way it should be. In fact, my wife found me a birthday card that said that right on. It said, I am not OCD, I'm CDO, because that's alphabetical, the way it should be. And you open it up, and it has happy birthday in it, but it's spelled alphabetically. AHPPY. Where'd you get this? She goes, I found this like 3 months ago and went, yeah, this one's going home with me, yeah.
That's a great thing. Means she's looking out for you all the time.
Yeah.
He knows her man.
And the interesting part I've learned is a lot of people are selectively OCD or CDO. And when you start digging into it about why certain things are important to them, sometimes they don't know. Other times they're like, well, because when I was growing up, uh-huh. And I said,
Like
well,
Dad with the toilet paper. The toilet paper's got to roll out. You never hand the salt to somebody. You always got to set it down.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're going to have a fight. All right. Okay.
Well, with the toilet paper, bangs are always better than a mullet. So. So there. And yes, I will switch people's toilet paper rolls in their house. I don't care. I'm that much of a rebel. And I also took care of college rental homes for about 15 years. Somewhere in my millions of pictures, I have what would be the lazy boys college house bathroom winner when it comes to toilet paper. They had, now get this, the original toilet paper roll on the toilet paper holder when they moved in. They had, I counted 15 empty toilet paper rolls in the vicinity, 3 of them sitting upright on top of the original, and the one that they were using sitting on the vanity with the edge of it a little wet.
Well, you always need a little wetness.
I'm like, could you be any lazier? Yes, you could. Yes, I'm pretty sure if they were to stay there for 2 years and I didn't touch it, there would have been a shrine eventually of toilet paper. There are certain things you have to take a picture of, because parents would know. I wouldn't even think to stage that picture. It would have never crossed my mind that I want to frame some of these boys by finding 20 empty toilet paper rolls and set them around. They did that all on their own. Higher education. And when you walked in that room or into that house, you knew they were enjoying higher education. I knew that that job was going to mean that I was not going to be able to have a big boy job at any other place for at least 6 months, because it would take that much to get the waft that I experienced most of the time out of my system. I'd be like, I didn't smoke anything. I work on college houses. It was secondhand toke. Just saying. And that's on YouTube now. There you have it. Well, anybody else got anything they want to share from the last week before we try and knock out 3?
Holly does.
Mike's off.
Sure, why not? Just a quick one. My theme for the week, the next 2 weeks, I've decided is gratitude. So, and the reason I'm doing that, there's 2 reasons. First, in Christmas, we get so caught up sometimes in the giving. Yes, we could get caught up in the materialism, or in hating it. And I just was thinking, that old Kabbalistic story of, if you're invited to a feast, what's the best gift you can give? And that's enjoying the feast. So as we go into the holidays, the two things, and then also in New Year's, we think so much about the future. We're gonna make a New Year's resolution for the new year. But how much time do we spend looking back and being grateful and proud of the things and celebrating the things we did accomplish? So just a thought as we go into these two holidays of tap into your gratitude and enjoy that part of the holidays as well.
Awesome. Cool. Anybody else before we dive in? All right. Well, tonight's topics: family traditions, masks to fish, and this will be ... Diving right into family traditions. All right. And we've, everybody seems to, if you ask them if there's some type of family tradition, a majority, not everybody, but a majority of people will, yeah, we had this family tradition and we would do this, or especially around the holidays, especially Christmas, out of curiosity, how many of you opened your Christmas gifts Christmas Eve night?
One.
I was
one.
waiting for that. Yeah, you got the teaser. And did you get to pick the one, or were you given the one?
I was silly. I always liked Legos as a kid, and I was always looking for the Legos because I liked building stuff and breaking, and doing it. And so I'd always get to go shake the things. And for probably 10 years in a row, I picked the Lifesaver book from my grandparents. Year after year, after year, thinking, sounds like Legos. Oh,
Yes. Uh-huh. And now you got all the lifesavers knocked out of their places in the book.
oh, my sister loved watching her smart little brother.
Yep. And as long as we're sharing funny Christmas stories, Mom will remember this one. I don't remember how, I think it was like 13, 14, 15, somewhere in that era. And I mentioned that I could probably use some socks or underwear. I had a lot of presents under the tree that year from everybody. That was back when the whole family would show up, and grandma and aunts and all that stuff. And every present I had, everyone, was either socks or underwear. Everyone. It got down to the last two or three, and I could see the look of horror on Mom and Dad's face, Grandma and Grandpa's face. The kids thought it was hilarious. I went to open it up, and now I have 4 years worth of underwear and socks.
I thought you were going to say you still have some to this day.
Almost. They're looking, they're Sunday underwear now. They're very holy. But yeah, the best thing was, though, they took sympathy on me, and I got to go shopping within the week to get one or two gifts that were not socks and underwear. So it was a win, but when you're in your early teens and you're like, more underwear. This makes 20 pair now.
And these are poo boxers, and these are tiny whiteys. All right.
Yes. Uh-huh. Other family traditions, you can trace back very far because of where your origins or whatever. But it also made me think, not all family traditions are the ones we want to keep. A lot of the clients that I work with, when we're uncovering challenges, like we were talking earlier, OCD and phobias and things of that nature, kind of go right along the line of cutting the ends off of the ham for the holidays. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with the story of cutting the ends off the ham, time for a holiday feast, and mom's in the kitchen getting it ready and pulls out the nice big ham, and she's cutting the ends off, and little girl goes, "Mom, why do you cut the ends off the ham?" So I don't know. My mom always did it. Well, Grandma happened to be there, so she goes over and goes, "Grandma, how come you cut the ends off the ham?" She goes, "I don't know. Grandma always did it." Well, great grandma was still alive. And so the little girl waited forever. Great grandma finally shows up and she goes, "Great grandma, how come you cut the ends off the ham?" Great grandma now has an audience that is waiting for the words of wisdom, and she goes, "Well, that's the only way I could make it fit in the pan that I had." Holiday tradition got changed, or did it? Who knows? Maybe they went, "That's it? Like, for real? Like, real? Yeah. Why are you doing it? 'Cause you always did." Well, that's stupid. You got a big pan. And maybe they kept on doing it just so they could remember great grandma. Or maybe they laughed about it and that was the last time they ever cut the ends off the ham. But along with that tradition, there's also the other traditions of how many people had that one relative that liked to come over and ruin the holidays for everybody because they decided that it was easier to open the bottle of whiskey and throw the cap away than to keep putting the cap on. And a few people decided that, well, since Uncle Charlie always did it, somebody's got to take over. There are some family traditions that can be allowed to drift off in the wind. But with that statement, ever since the events of a few years ago that we'll just leave unmentioned because we all know what they are, I've found a number of the family traditions got really side railed that year, and some of them still haven't recovered. I think I told you guys last week that during the holidays, we just knew that we were going to Grandma's house. That would be my mom's mom. And it's funny how when you're a kid, your perception of things is skewed. I always thought that Grandma had this big house and it was awesome and it was adventurous and I got to go to Grandma's house and it's this basic standard little rambler, 3 small bedrooms, small living room, small dining room to a kind of an open concept kitchen that was about this big. I mean, you get 3 people in that kitchen and you're bumping everything. And yet, we would fit 78 people in there. The dining room table, you couldn't sit at it because it literally had food stacked on it, with food on the cooktop in the kitchen, coolers holding drinks because the little fridge was wedged to the max with food. And because it was in Grand Forks, North Dakota, Christmas time was usually cold enough that you could keep a lot of the cold stuff in the outdoor freezer, which was the outdoors. And we would eat anywhere we could find space to sit. And we would sleep 4 to a bed, 2 people on the couch. Somebody would crash out on the lazy boy. And I can't remember the last time that happened. That was many moons ago. So part of my question is, what kind of traditions can you start this year? And it doesn't have to be, the rally cry for the whole family tree to show up, but it could be. If not this year, start planning it for next year. And if everybody is so spread out the way our family is now, maybe you make it a Christmas vacation destination for Christmas and you meet on the beach with Holly. No, see, you're the one that I'm like, if I had to choose between the tundra of Grand Forks right now or that beach, I think everybody's got a year to save up some money for airfare. They can all go to lunchmoneyclub.com and start planning their vacation, and we'll all meet on the beach. And where would you say would be the best beach to go to for Christmas, Michael?
Cabo. Come on down to
Cabo?
Cabo.
Cabo Cabo for the gobble gobble.
You guys are welcome anytime. We'll make it happen.
Hey, there you go. So, anybody got any ahas, epiphanies, inputs, ideas for things you might want to throw out there for traditions? You can just jump right in.
Make sure I get in order. I did have a couple thoughts. First of all, it hadn't occurred to me until what you were talking about that you can have a tradition for yourself. I guess I always thought of Christmas traditions having to be for the whole family. So I definitely want to think about that. And then the other thing that I was thinking about too is just the whole time is how many traditions, both good and bad, have been passed down of just attitudes. So I've got a tradition of this trauma's come through, or I've got a tradition of this gratitude has come through, or whatever it may be. So just being careful about which traditions do we choose to promote and carry forward, and which traditions do we say, you know what? I'm never going to do this tradition again. I'm done with this tradition. It's time to leave it behind in the past.
Awesome reframe. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. It is a choice. And I don't usually do movie recommendations, but hey, if you guys want to watch a really cute Christmas movie just came out. It's called Red One with
Fuck.
The Rock.
Johnson.
Yeah, and I can't think of the other guy's name from. He does the farmers insurance. Anyhow, we watched it last night, and well done. Got a good little message. It's pretty funny. Anything else on family traditions before we shift gears and see if we can fit all three in tonight?
We have a tradition that, again, I'm watching Wonderful Life.
Awesome.
But I did like Red One. But yeah, and it's always on, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
Yes.
So we always get to get our fix.
Yep. And it just crossed my mind, how many of the younger generation haven't watched the original Scrooge story? And how many times has it been remade? I mean, that's a pretty common theme. There's got to be at least, I would say at a minimum, a dozen renditions off of that concept. And yet it's a really great way to think, like, who are you and what do you want to be remembered for, and where do you want to see yourself in a couple of years? That's why the near-death protocol is a great eye-opener for a lot of people on a lot of their limiting beliefs. All right, so you're dead. Now, who do you want to be tomorrow? Still want to be scared of this? Still want to be too scared to try that? Still want to be, You already died once. You got a second chance. You're really going to allow yourself to live such a small life again? Get out there. What's the worst thing that can happen? I'll die again. All right. It might be the last time. It might be the next time. Who knows? Mark.
Yeah. How many little Ebenezers do you see running around?
What's that?
I said, how many little Ebenezers do you see running around?
Yes.
Teaches a good, life lesson about, but yeah, using death as a advisor, as Castaneda would say. It's always there. Someday it's just going to reach out and tap you on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And no need to fear it. It's just there. Over your left shoulder, real quick. You see the shadow? Yeah, that's death.
Yeah.
And but you have to, live your life fearlessly because it's always there. It's just someday it'll reach out and tap you.
And I've met people that are on both sides of the spectrum. I've got some that are they spend their whole life terrified that they're going to die someday. And other ones that are like, yeah, I'm going to die. But I want to live right up until the very second. In fact, one of my former girlfriend's mother-in-law, what a precious soul. I mean, she was all of like 4'10", little Hispanic lady. And she was so full of life, she could have run a small city, little firecracker. And she was in her mid-90s when she found out, they were like, you've got cancer, so we're going to start this regimen. She's like, No, you're not. Well, but we gotta, you could die. She goes, I could not. I'm gonna die. I'm 93. Yeah, I'm good. I've done a lot. I've got great grandkids. I'm good to go, and I'm not going to spend the last few whatever of my life sick in a hospital from the stuff you want to put in me. And she still lived almost a year and passed in her sleep in her home. Win. Win-win. Now there's a tradition you could hang on to. I'm going to do everything I can. Anything else before we change gears? Then we'll on to number 2, masks to fish. Yeah, I figured that would get a look. Thank you, Michael, for yes, masks to fish. And this one came about, like many of mine do, from one of my clients. And they've graduated Triple P, my relationship protocol. And they had this massive download this week that they no longer are going to hide anything about who they are. Their person will absolutely love them for who they are. They're not going to wear any masks to try and capture the right person. It takes too much energy to try and remember who they wanted you to be, who you were when they met you, all of the above. And I'm like, oh, yes, finally. Which is part of the protocol is that they're not allowed to be in a committed relationship for a year. Well, if you're just meeting people to go out and have an activity partner and have fun, you don't feel the necessity to put on 7 layers of masks to hide who you are in case they don't like who you might be. And yet now they're finding out that because they love themselves way more than they ever have, and they've forgiven themselves for things more than they ever have, their intuition on people is higher than it's ever been because they are walking around in full authentic energy. And they're finding that way more people are attracted to them than they've ever been. And I'm like, that's what authenticity offers you. There was a study out about the concept of people being able to smell fear. Anybody see this report, this little deal on that? It was amazing. They had 3 groups, I believe it was, all wear the same clean, standard cotton white t-shirts. and put them through different scenarios. And one of the scenarios was one of actual fear. And they collected the shirts, yeah, and allowed control groups to smell, as Michael pointed out, the different smells. And the ones that smelled the shirts from the fear group had a spike in their chemistry,
Yep.
the same as fear, which proved you can smell fear. All three groups sweated. All three groups had a smell to the shirt. But the groups that were studying it only reacted to the fear shirts. Michael.
And I think they did one similar with adrenaline. So when the people were out sweating doing activities that they really enjoyed, the sweat had a sweeter smell than other sweats too. So
Yeah.
I know exactly when you're talking about the fear.
Yep.
They did brain waves.
And so right along with masks to fish, when out looking for a partner, that's why I came up with part of the protocol, especially the part of not being setting a specific date. I am not allowed to be in a committed relationship until this date. And my clients have had so many ahas, epiphanies, breakthroughs, because I remembered when I was going through a dry spell, trying to get a lady to pay any attention to me. I couldn't give them enough money. I couldn't buy a phone number until I finally found one that I would settle for. They would settle for me. We settled. Okay, I've got somebody. And then we pull up to, my joke is you pull up to a stoplight, and all of a sudden, the lady in the car next door jumps out of her car, runs over and goes, "Here's my phone number, call me." With my girl in the car. Where the hell were you 3 weeks ago when I would... Because my energy shifted. I no longer had that desperate look of, "Are you the one? You're breathing. Could you be the one? Oh, hey, I saw you look at me for 0.2 seconds. Are you the one?" You're not looking anymore. You're not putting up masks. You're not trying to... And you've got that confidence level now. You can talk to a woman because you're not worried about the outcome. And so that's masks to fish. Anybody got any input, ahas on that? Mark?
Talk about it being able to smell fear. You're desperate, you're projecting that, and women will pick up on that.
100%. When I was bartending, I loved watching the dynamics on that. My joke was always, what's the difference between, and I'll keep this as PC as I can, what's the difference between men and women walking into a bar late in the evening? Men walk in hoping they'll find someone to take them home. Women walk in knowing that they will find someone to take them home, even if they have to lower their standards.
It's like the old joke, little kid comes home from school, and he's all upset. Says, "What's up, little boy?" To his mom. Well, little Susie, she had a better lunch pail than me, and this and that, and so got a better lunch pail. The next day goes in, and again the little boy comes home, and he's all sad, So mom has a little talk with him again. The next day, the little boy goes to school, and he's all happy, and he's got a bicycle, and it's got little things, and Susie pulls in her bicycle, and it's got blur and this and a little tail and a horn, and he just finally has enough, and he says, "Little Susie, I've had enough. I have one of these, and my mommy says you don't." And then little Susie dropped her pants and says, "Well, my mommy says with one of these, I can have as many of those as I want."
For the young kids, it was dollar bills.
That was PC. I didn't say anything bad. But as far as being without masks, that kind of goes back into parables in the New Testament when you're talking, Jesus, and he's talking about the Pharisees and the preachers and stuff at the time. They said they go into the church, they do their thing, they're wearing their best clothes at that time. You wear your faith as your only cloak, not your best one.
Yep.
So.
Nice transition, straight from Susie to Jesus. We got it all here tonight, folks. Right on Christmas Eve. Anything else? Anyone else before we try and finish her all up in a quick hour? All right. Third topic of the night. This will be. Yes, it will. And this one I got from a buddy of mine who's, I think he's 19 now. 19-year-old son is enjoying a cold. But he apparently averages about 2 to 3 colds a year. His dad rarely gets sick. And so they had a conversation about it. And the son is like, well, it's normal for people to get sick at least 2 to 3 times a year. His dad's like, no, not really. I don't get sick. Well, I'm just saying. And Dad went, if you believe that people are supposed to be sick 2 to 3 times a year, that explains why you're sick 2 to 3 times a year. And I believe that my body is strong, that I have a very good immune system, and I love my body for how healthy it is, which is why I don't get sick. And the kid's like, oh, don't get so deep on me, Dad. And he said, well, you're getting deep on me trying to justify you being sick all the time. All I'm saying is this will be whatever you make of it. Wayne Dyer had a great story about that. He said he saw a buddy of his who was sick, and he said, well, how long you been sick? And he goes, in 3 days, it'll have been 2 weeks. Wayne's like, really? That's how you're going to describe it? Like you're looking forward to it lasting even longer. In 3 days, it'll be 2 weeks. He goes, I don't have time to be sick for 2 weeks. I figure if I get the sniffles, Good. This is as long as it's going to be. Tomorrow I will be better. And if I'm not, I just needed a few more hours of rest, and tomorrow I'll be better. But I would much rather look at it that way than to tell myself that in 3, 4, 5 more days, I'll still be sick and it'll be 2 weeks. And it made me wonder how many other things, mindsets, do people deal with? This will be. I hate to say it, and I'm not going to mention many names because I adore them immensely. But I know somebody who likes to do a lot of baking. And if it isn't going right the way it's supposed to be expected to be rolling along, this is going to be terrible. And I'm like, no, this will be awesome. No, when I put this in, I probably should have done it, and it just, no, this didn't do what it was supposed to, or this or that. It's going to be terrible. And finally, I was just like, it'll be terrible for you, but it'll be wonderful for me. Because I've decided it's going to be wonderful. There have been many unexpected results that most people would have said the entire time, this is not going to turn out, and yet it did. In spite of their predictions and their attempts to make it bad. And one story I'll share with quick. My wife used to have this tradition. She would make homemade sweets, caramels and turtles and all of these amazing things, even though we don't eat sweets. And so I think it was the first year we knew each other. And I was at her house and she was going to make salted caramel. And we're sitting there chatting, and all of a sudden she's like, ah! And I'm like, what's wrong? Oh, I did it wrong. And she's walking over to the trash can with I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, well, I got to start all over. I'm like, time, stop. So that's a lot of money in ingredients you got there. How bad is it? Well, I didn't put it in the right order. I said, well, how long you been making caramel? Well, I don't know, probably 10, 15 years. I said, okay, you got the idea down. I'm sure you can rescue it. Well, it's just not going to be the same. It's going to be terrible. I'm like, all right, well, we'll see. So she continued making them, but as soon as she got those things in the pan, spread out, she immediately started on a brand new batch so she could do it right so that they would be good. And when she got done, the two batches were very distinguishable between the two. The oopsie was a darker color. And still cut them up, wrapped them up, all the above. And she liked to take them and give as much away so that they wouldn't be in the house, going to waste or all the above. And much to my chagrin and her amazement, the most popular one was the oopsie. blew her mind. She's like, "What? What?" And I said, "How do you think a number of things have been discovered? Vulcanized rubber for tires was kind of an oopsie. I think it was penicillin was kind of an oopsie. But if you're going into it with, I said I would, my way of looking at it, I will always say it's going to turn out until it proves me wrong. And I would rather go that direction than to say it's going to be horrible, it's going to be junk, it's going to be a tragedy until I'm proven wrong. This will be fine. This will be great. One of the little messages from the movie last night, Red One. Do you remember how it was phrased, Mark or Michael? Every opportunity, every situation has an opportunity to be
I have
great.
not seen Red One yet.
Oh yeah, then definitely watch it. I recommend it. But yeah, this will be a majority of the mindset you approach it with. Mark.
I don't remember the exact wording, but the message was every crisis is an opportunity in disguise.
Yep, that's another one. Yes. All depending on how you look at it.
Perception's reality.
Mm-hmm. I've been through a number of things where, when I tell people that I've slept on the floor in a garage after having a couple of beautiful homes, they're like, "How'd you deal with that?" Because I decided it was a great option. I was in San Diego. I'm like, "Hey, I'm in San Diego. You're sleeping in a garage in San Diego." I can tell you, the idea of sleeping in a garage in Minnesota in February, not the same outlook. I mean, there are heated garages. I know. I've got friends with them. But even then, and now with the holidays coming up, it'll be what you make it. Mark.
I wanted everyone to know, if they don't, that Lenora, again, she couldn't stay away. She messengered me that you look great. So if everybody could just, again, our missing, anchor there, I would just like to say, Merry Christmas, Lenora. Everybody,
Yep.
Merry Christmas. Just for you, Lenora. We miss
Yeah.
you.
Mo messaged me that he couldn't make it. So yes, again, we're going to make this a quicker than usual triple T because it's that night. I've got my wife waiting downstairs for me to join her, and so I want to thank you guys for showing up. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. I just said this is going to be triple T. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do my thing. I don't know who's going to show up, and next week is New Year's Eve and my wife's birthday. She has kindly given me permission to do the same. So it'll be a 1 hour quick one. So hopefully I'll see some of you next week. If not, I completely understand. But I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for the gifts of your time throughout the year. I don't even have the vocabulary to express how much it means to me. For those of you on YouTube, love you, Mom. Merry Christmas to all of you guys as well. And looking forward to seeing your happy, beautiful smiles in 7 days. Until then, have a fabulous flippin' Christmas and an awesome week. I'll talk to you soon.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Much love, everybody. So.